I was really waiting to get to.
You take some money off Gus yesterday?
Well, you know.
Okay. Oh!
Back to the show. We'll talk Big Ben and the Steelers in a second, but first, SC30 Select Champ Steph Curry gets diced up by high school class of 2021 center Chet Holmgrin. Good moves by the 7-footer.
There's a 7-footer at Steph Curry's camp, and he just mixes Steph at his own camp. This is great, man. That's a 7-footer just making moves. Now, he might need to put on a little weight.
You think?
Wait, he's with A.J. Green dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, that'd be one of the few highlights we're going to be showing for the Bengals.
Ben Roethlisberger is getting ready to start his 16th season at the ripe young age of 37. While he has clearly seen a lot of changes to this team, Big Ben remains the constant there. His tight end, Vance McDonald, is impressed with what he's seen. Said, quote, he's the best there is. I believe it when he says that he's going to be the best he's ever been this year. This is only the second camp that I've been to with him, and just his whole approach and demeanor is completely different this year. I think he's ready and willing to do everything that it takes to win another championship. All right, see, what does Big Ben need to do to put the Steelers back into contention after what happened last season?
Well, I'm not going to put it all on Ben. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for the last several years, have not had the type of defense that would say, are they a championship contender? Because several of those seasons, they did have the offense. They did have an offense that scored enough points, didn't turn the ball over enough. Because sometimes when you're an offense, you take a lot of chances. They turned the ball over some, but it wasn't enough that they couldn't be a top 10 offense. If you have a top 10 offense, if your defense is in the top 15, you're going to win a lot of football games. They have not been the fearsome Pittsburgh Steelers defense that we're used to seeing. That's been one of the surprises. Lack of overall discipline by Mike Tomlin, who seems to be a disciplinarian, and the lack of teeth that this defense has in that division that is super tough. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, get your defense fixed first. Get your linebacking crew fixed first. Present a consistent pass rush. Ben Roethlisberger is going to do what he's got to do. Does he have tremendous challenges? Absolutely. But his ability to make all the wide receivers feel comfortable, I think that's his responsibility. Because when you don't have a lot of accomplished wide receivers, you have to kind of give them a false bravado. You have to try to help them have some type of swag. Because ain't no one of the receivers, Juju, people respect him a little bit, but the rest of them, there's no respect. They're going to get a lot of man-to-man. They're going to get a lot of defenses that say, I don't respect you. And it's going to be very important that Ben, his messaging is very consistent, because regardless of what you want to see, most of these young receivers saw the relationship between him and AB. And I can understand Vance speaking up for his boy, the quarterback, but it's only his second year being there. But he noticed a drastic difference. To me, I hope Ben continues to be self-aware, because I'm sure he realized what happened, and a lot what went on. He could have helped the situation, and he ultimately was part of the problem, but him and Tomlin are the two there. L. Bell's gone. AB is gone. So Ben, as you can see through his teammates, I'm sure that he's made some drastic changes of how he's going about the rest of his career.
You and I didn't talk about this before the show, but you touched on something that was exactly where I was going to go, which is these two young receivers. Because listen, I feel like I know what Eli Rogers is in the NFL. I feel like I have a pretty good idea what Dante Moncrief is in the NFL. But Deontay Johnson, who they spent a third-round pick on in this year's draft. By the way, the Steelers have turned third-round picks at wide receiver into stars throughout the years. And this is a guy that had a 1,300-yard, 13-touchdown season in college at Toledo. Can Big Ben get a relationship with him and convince him, get his confidence to a level, say, man, we know the level of player you can be. That's why we drafted you into this organization that does nothing but draft receivers and turn them into great players. James Washington, who was on the wrong side of Ben Roethlisberger for part of last year, his final year at Oklahoma State had 1,500-yard, 13-touchdown season. These were highly productive collegiate receivers that Big Ben needs to tap into part of their psyche almost to help them regain that level of confidence, because to me, both those guys have more upside than the potential 2-3 on the team right now in Eli Rogers and Dante Moncrief.
But the problem with that, as you pointed out, James Washington, consistent. Those college stats, a lot of times they don't transfer to the pros. In the Pac-10, there's not a whole bunch of cornerbacks that are moving into the NFL in the first couple rounds. I know in the MAC conference where Toledo plays, there's no corners that are playing in the NFL that he's going against. So the jump in competition, transitioning from college to the pro game at wide receiver is one of the toughest transitions. That's why I'm always a little bit leery as far as what are going to be the results, even when you have a veteran quarterback. I would much rather have a hodgepodge of veteran guys than a whole room full of young guys with no real leader in that room.
And you said the Pac-12. James Washington, you meant the Big 12 where there's no corners, where he's from Oklahoma State. But the point remains, like that is fair. You see a lot of receivers come out of that conference. Not a lot of corners come out of that conference.
And we see a lot of receivers have 1,500, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdown seasons.
And then, and doesn't translate fully to the NFL.
But then as far as Ben Roethlisberger goes, you have to imagine that maybe some of what we're seeing is this refreshing, renewed sense